I'm Laura Bonnell, and this is the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast coming to you from Detroit. Please subscribe and even rate and comment on our podcasts when it moves you. I learn something new with every podcast, and I'm always inspired by the people that are showcased here. We don't give medical advice. You need to connect with your doctor for that. I hope that this Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast educates you and sparks some volunteering or advocacy. The CF community needs people like you. Thanks to our sponsors, Viatris and Vertex, for their support. When our daughters got their vest machines, they weighed what felt like 100 pounds, and they plugged into a wall. The vests were not made to fit properly. They rode high up in the armpits. It was not a great fit. So that was a challenge. And Nicole Dunn is a Senior Market Development and Education Manager at Tactile Medical. And she's talking about how we fast forward 25 years and how so much has changed with the vest. She knows everything about the AffloVest. She has extensive experience as a registered therapist and a passion for respiratory education, which is fantastic. Her role at Tactile Medical, where the focus on airway clearance and chronic respiratory disease education highlights her commitment to improving outcomes for patients with chronic respiratory disease. We're just delighted to have this conversation, as you are about to hear. And welcome, Nicole, to the podcast. I'm really excited to talk with you. And I think the first thing we should do is have you tell us a little bit about Tactile Medical.
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to be here. I work for Tactile Medical, which is based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we are a company that is a leader in developing therapy products for conditions like lymphedema, chronic venous insufficiency, and of course, for chronic respiratory conditions like cystic fibrosis and bronchiectasis.
I want to tell everyone how we got connected, because we had an emergency situation in Michigan with one of the people that we help, and I was able to connect with someone. Her vest was being fixed and repaired, and she did not have a substitute vest. It was going to take more than a week to get through another means, and reached out, and right away everyone helped, made sure that she had a vest to tide her over till her other one was fixed, and she had it within 24 hours. And she was in such a medical unstable situation that not having her vest was very scary to her and her family. And I just wanted to say thank you for that, because if you don't have customer service, then you don't have help. Nothing else matters how great the vest is if you don't have some backup. So I just wanted to say thank you on their behalf for that, because it was critical to keeping healthy for her.
Yeah, we have a really great team in the field. They are just so patient-oriented and mission-driven. And however we can help our patients to get them what they need, we're fully supportive of that. We do work through durable medical equipment companies, but we have our own people too that help with things like that.
We have contact information about the company in our show notes, but what if someone does need assistance, or what kind of copay or help do you offer to patients if they're in need of some extra help?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I mentioned, we do work through local durable medical equipment companies, DMEs, that help us they help with the reimbursement process and help patients actually get their vests into the home. But we also we support those DMEs. So if somebody has questions about reimbursement or insurance or how they could get a vest in the home, we have an inbox that's monitored 24/7 called AffloVest info@tactilemedical.com. And, I'm glad you brought that up because especially with the CF population, I know that sometimes there's some misconceptions or misunderstandings out there that it's difficult to get the AffloVest reimbursed for, or they can't get it as their second travel vest. And utilizing that inbox, we can get you put in touch with the right people to help the patients work through their insurance companies or their insurance providers to ensure that they get their vest covered, whether it's a first vest or a second vest.
And that is huge. And I think it's also huge if parents are divorced and you're in two homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important if you're staying at a caregiver's house that's a grandparent or an aunt for a week or something. I mean, that takes care of a lot of issues for families. So that's a really great program to have because it's such a real issue for some families.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. In the introduction, I talked about how heavy the vests were and we had to plug them into the wall and all of that. So how have the vests changed, over the years since even my girls had them?
The AffloVest was really, in 2013, it came to market, and it was really the first mobile high-frequency chest wall oscillation vest on the market. And, over the past, over 10 years now, I guess it's been 12, we've had a lot of incremental changes. So when we launched in 2013, that was our first generation. We are now on our fifth generation of the AffloVest. And what we have done over the years is made it much more ergonomic for patient use. We've updated the controller so that it's a little easier for patients to use and feel. Put a usage meter on there. So if insurances want to know if you're using it, it counts how many hours of use you've used your vest. We've lightened it. So it's 28% lighter than when it first came out in 2013. And we've updated the vibratory force over the years. So now it has 2 times the vibratory force in those 8 individual waveforms that give the treatment to the torso. And we've shortened it so it's more anatomically correct. So we have 8 sizes and they fit anywhere from an 18-inch chest circumference to a 75-inch chest circumference. And with those 8 sizes, we ensure a proper anatomical fit where it really covers just to your rib cage and to your clavicle so that you're really getting a good treatment on your lung lobes, front and back, with the oscillating motors.
And that was one of the things I was going to say is it didn't always fit my girls so well. And then, you have breasts. So like that's a factor too. And it fits everybody different. So that's really exciting that it's changed so much over those years. What kind of feedback are you getting from people?
People really enjoy the fit and how it actually fits into their lifestyle because they can be mobile while using it, especially children or people that don't want to just sit on a couch and take their treatment. Maybe they want to be a little active or go answer the door. About a year and a half ago, we did a study on patient preferences compared with other similar devices on the market. And overall, 93% of the patients that tried the AffloVest felt that was the one they preferred. And 90% of them said that they would be more likely to use it daily because of the mobility and comfort features. And 93% that said that it fits within their lifestyle. They don't feel embarrassed wearing it in front of family members, and they can watch TV or they can answer the door or go outside and get the mail while they're doing their treatment. Some CF patients like to exercise while they're using their AffloVest, and they can do that as well.
And that's what I was going to say. I think even if you went to a gym with that vest, I don't think it would faze anyone. They would think it was somehow a workout vest, even if they didn't know about cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
And, it would be very cool. So do they come in different colors or anything like that? Is there any of that going on as well?
The AffloVest is it's like a denim blue color. When we chose to launch it in 2013, we thought about this, and we decided that almost everybody has a pair of blue jeans at home. So we thought that the denim blue color would be a really good color to go with. Some people do care about aesthetics, but because our motors are actually built into our device, we don't have like all the different colors of the garments that some of the others have.
What are you finding now that so many people are on CF modulators? Are they still using it? Is it still important?
So that's a great question. And having been a respiratory therapist in the hospital and taking care of CF patients, those modulators are a game changer. I'm very thankful that the community has those now. I think that these patients don't have to just wait for a lung transplant. They have treatments available to them, and it's a miracle. But sometimes patients still need airway clearance, and the best airway clearance is the one that they'll use that works for them. And we do still see a lot of cystic fibrosis patients, even on modulators, being prescribed airway clearance and the AffloVest. So maybe they're not using it as often as they were before the modulator, but they are still continuing to use their airway clearance, especially if they feel like they need a tune up, or if they're getting sick. And CF, more than any other population, knows their body better than anyone else, and they can tell.
Absolutely. And I think too that we talk about this all the time in the CF community and CF parents. The modulator doesn't mean that everything's okay. It's certainly not a cure. And I know there are people that are doing less than they did prior to the modulator, but for the most part, I think everybody's sticking to the regimen.
Mm-hmm.
I think we still need to learn a lot. People are still getting sick. They're still having exacerbations. They're still ending up in the hospital. And of course, there is still a part of the CF population that doesn't have access to a modulator now. So
Yes.
I definitely don't think people are just not doing anything, and agreeing with what you're saying. So it's exciting about the progress of the vest and how it has changed. And like you said, as a respiratory therapist, you know exactly how it's transformed over the years and the impact that it's had.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always go back to, the literature supports the best airway clearance is to do what you're going to adhere to at home. You're actually going to do it. So if you can find something that's lightweight, you could be mobile and it fits in your lifestyle and it's not an embarrassment, I think that's great. If there's, if they could do something like a PEP device and that works for them, that's great too. But the importance is to get that mucus out, keep it out of your lungs so you're not getting infections. So whatever fits with their lifestyle. We're just really, really, really happy of the overwhelming support that the CF community has given to our product, because, we go to the shows, NACFC, for example, and parents will come to the booth and tell us, well, this is what Johnny uses for travel, or right before soccer practice. And the stories are just lovely, and we've been very fortunate.
And for anyone who doesn't know how the vest works, can you give us a little education on how it works and what it does?
Yeah, so the AffloVest has motors built in. There are 8 motors on the front and back, and they provide what we call direct dynamic oscillation. So they provide these different waveforms through frequencies that sort of vibrate the chest wall, front and back, all the lung lobes, so that secretions can be loosened and taken from the smaller airways to the larger airways so that they can be expelled out.
Thank you for that. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, you can have a lot of fun with it. It makes your voice sound shaky. I know my kids used to do that. We used to have fun singing songs or doing silly things so you could hear the voice, making that, that noise. So that, I think it's still a fun thing to do, honestly. But I love the mobility of it all, because we had obviously we still have 2 girls with CF, but they would go to my mom's house and you have to lug those things for 2 kids. So I think it's the mobility that it allows not only for the patient, but also just in getting it from one place to another is fantastic. What else do you have planned there in regard to these vests?
Some of that is top secret
Oh, no.
information, but I will share that we're always listening to feedback from our chronic respiratory users, whether it's from the CF community or the bronchiectasis community. And we at Tactile take that feedback very seriously. So we have a whole product roadmap where we are looking at enhancements and better ways to use the device and still be clinically efficient as it is today.
Also, do you do programs? Because I know you're so generous. Are there programs maybe that we don't know about that you can talk about that help people maybe either in other countries or in other ways?
From a program standpoint, from like foundations, we do support foundations where we do work with physicians to get various patients access to a free AffloVest. So we do budget aside money to do that every year. And from an educational standpoint, we have a website that is sort of a grant-funded website that's non-AffloVest branded, and it's called impact-be.com, but it has a whole formulation of cystic fibrosis education and materials on how to create an action plan and how to work with your doctor. And if you're, how to talk to your child about cystic fibrosis and what the different airway clearance techniques are, not just vest therapy. And those are available, those kits are available in several different languages, and we can support by providing packets. They could email us at the AffloVest info at tactilemedical.com, and we can get packets out to them so that they can have those packets to either take to their doctor or they can go on there and watch videos and learn about the disease process and things that might help and what's important, those types of things. I feel like at Tactile, we do give back through foundations where we try to find recipients of vests, but we also take education and patient education very seriously through this impact site as well.
That's huge. That's wonderful. I mean, you must get great feedback from that, and people are probably so grateful as well.
Yes. A lot of the physicians that have provided materials for the CFs, the impact-be.com on the CF page, are clinical experts in CF, and you can learn a lot of information from them. They've been doing this for a long time in their clinics, and they've been so generous to share their resources and tools.
So what other things are you excited about at Tactile Medical?
I think that Tactile Medical is just one of those companies that, because we look at chronic underserved diseases such as lymphedema and respiratory disorders, that everyone that works there is so unique. Everyone that works there is just really mission driven. And we care about the patients. We put the patients first. We do whatever we can for our patients. And it's so refreshing to work for a big company like that puts the patients first, because you don't always get that.
And I know you said, you really listen to the patients. What, if you know this, what is some of the best feedback maybe that you've received from a patient, and did it impact or make a change in how you did something?
I think that we're very fortunate with AffloVest that most of our feedback is very, very positive. But when we first released the device in 2013, some of the feedback we would get is like, oh, it's a little long. It comes a little further down past my lung lobe. So over the years, we've shortened it to make it more anatomically correct. We have reduced the weight of the vest. So it's depending on the size, it's about 5 pounds, depending on which size you have. And, we were able to do that for, the really small kids, especially that have the 18-inch chest circumference. So, product design isn't something that happens overnight, but we do keep a backlog of that type of feedback we receive. And when it's time to do updates or enhancements, we pull that out and we really think about what the patients want.
That's great to hear, that it in the beginning that it helped shape. And what age can people start using vests now? I mean, my kids are 30 and 27, so we started with, the hand percussions and everything like that when they were little. And I don't think they got a vest until they were 5.
So the AffloVest is unique that it has no age restrictions. We really go by ranges of chest wall circumference. So as long as they have an 18-inch chest wall circumference. So we have used the AffloVest on, infants through adults. Usually, though, the CF clinic will work with the patient and the family and determine if they're ready for a vest yet based off of, development, if they could keep their head held up, things like that. But yeah, 18 inches is the smallest, and that's our extra small size. And one of the things that I want to mention, if it's okay, is that because it's so anatomically correct and it fits these patients very well for their size, we do have a size exchange program so that the AffloVest, if you will, can grow with the patient. So it allows the patients to exchange their AffloVest for a different size. So if you start somebody at like 2 years old and they have a little bit of a growth spurt and they don't quite fit that extra small size, we can exchange it into a small, and we can do that for patients as well.
I love that. That is a huge thing to do. I mean, everybody who has a child with CF who's listening to this knows. So now, are they giving back the one that doesn't fit, and then you're cleaning them? Do you repurpose them, or?
Typically, we don't repurpose vests that come back, but we do give the patient a fresh new AffloVest in that size exchange program. And again, we work through our durable medical equipment partners to provide that service. But I think that's, especially with kids and, they grow, I think that's a really nice thing that we can offer, and I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, that is great. Because I know they could be, I know you don't do that, but they could be professionally cleaned and reissued to someone else. Do you repurpose them as far as shredding them or rebuilding it? And
if we can refurbish them and use them for our sales reps to have demo units or something so that, they take them with them in their car to the different clinics and things like that.
Right. That is wonderful. It's exciting that you are continuing to grow and learn from this, and that you have the expertise. I mean, CF patients, and other patients, obviously with other diseases. So you've literally lived this. And it must make you feel really great to be able to use your expertise when you're talking with parents or patients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wake up every day feeling very fortunate to do what I get to do every day. We get to provide education and really great products to chronic patients. And sometimes those patients aren't the ones that are in the hospital that everyone sees all the time. And, we don't forget about them. And, like I said earlier, the whole company has this mission around these chronic lymphedema and respiratory patients. So it's just a wonderful place to be and be able to share your expertise and help people. I always say that I get to help people breathe better every day.
That's wonderful. And do you ever get photos like, hey, I'm on this mountain or whatever in Colorado with my vest on? Do you get things like that from people?
We do. If people send us a photo, we have to have them sign a disclosure that we could use it. But we do have some photos on our website and some videos on our website as well, where you can see different types of patients utilizing the device and having the device on and everything. So
what are some of the best stories or the best successes that you've seen while you've been with the company in relation to cystic fibrosis families?
I feel like when the families finally get an AffloVest, maybe they have the child or the kid has been wanting one for a while for the mobility. Like they're just very emotional and grateful because now the little child can run around while they're doing their treatment. They don't have to just sit there or they can feel like not that they're not normal, but they can feel more normal because they can do normal things while they're taking their treatment. It doesn't take time out of their day. And, even recently we talked to a girl that teaches bar classes, with CF, and she uses her AffloVest, and she's on our website where she's like making lemonade in her kitchen with her AffloVest on. And, people are just grateful that they have the option of being mobile with their therapy and having something comfortable that sort of fits their lifestyle.
It allows a lot of flexibility. And I think all the vests seem to have moved to that, position of you're not plugged into the wall anymore, right? And it's made it so much easier. I appreciate you sharing, the story of all that you're doing, and the help that, you gave somebody that we were, trying to help and connect with, and you solved their situation, like I said, so quickly. Is there anything else that we didn't discuss that you wanted to bring up?
I would encourage your listeners to, if they do have questions, like I said earlier, to go ahead and email us at the AffloVestInfo@tactilemedical.com. We're here to listen. We're here to help you. We're here to put you in contact with a DME provider should you need one. Troubleshoot. We want to make sure that you're having the best patient experience with our products. So we encourage people to email us, and we can help them out if they need it.
And I like those two programs. So we're going to put the links to what you were talking about in show notes as well, because that's really good to know. And it's a fast way for people to get help if they're in need. So thank you for that.
Yes, of course.
The original music in this podcast is performed by Kevin Allen.
It's not complicated.
Who happens to have cystic fibrosis.
We all got our worries and fears. I know what's got you frustrated, but loving you is so alright.
This has been the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast. For more information and to learn more about the Bonnell Foundation, visit our website at thebonnellfoundation.org. That's the BONNELL Foundation.org. This podcast was sponsored by Vertex Pharmaceutical, The Science of Possibility, and Viatris. It was produced by Jag and Detroit Podcasts. Follow our show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now.